Alright, good evening everybody. It's your boy Akeen and welcome to today's vlog. Here to wrap things up with all my projections for the 2013 fantasy football season. Gonna finish things off with my top 10 kickers. I have some decent players for you guys this season. Now for the kicker position, just gonna give you guys a quick note. This is the last position that you should be picking in the latest rounds of your draft because pretty much the kickers are pretty much even. It's probably except for numbers 1 and 2, but all the kickers are pretty much even. I still think they could give you some valuable points, and they could even be the deciding factor of whether you win or lose week after week for each week of the season. Starting at number 10, I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions, David Akers. Now David Akers, I do like him a lot, Pro Bowl kicker, and I really think that the Detroit Lions offense is going to step it up this season. Now they've been inconsistent in their offensive play for over the years. Last season, the quarterback Matthew Stafford struggled a little bit with 20 touchdowns and 17 interceptions, but the season ago, he had a Pro Bowl season, and he had actually a stellar year passing for over 30 touchdowns and over 5,000 yards, and I think he could get back to that into shape into this season. That's why I have David Akers at number 10. At number 9, I'm going to go with my 49er, Phil Dawson. He did pretty well last season, just missing the top 10 for the Cleveland Browns, but I still think he gave you some decent points week after week in fantasy play. I do think he's going to perform well this season because San Francisco's offense has Colin Kaepernick at quarterback, and they will drive the ball down the field to at least get in Phil Dawson's range for field goal points. At number 8, I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys' Dan Bailey. He had a decent rookie season, and I think he could do well because they do have a good offense led by Tony Romo. At number 7, I'm going to go with Matt Prater out of the Denver Broncos. Peyton Manning's back for another season, passing over 30 touchdowns last season, and I think he's going to continue to drive the ball down the field and give Matt Prater some opportunities for field goal tries within range. At number 6, I'm going to go with Lawrence Tynes out of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, he had a stellar career thus far for the New York Giants, in my opinion. I think he had a decent career for the G-Men, but he is now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they're looking to making it to the playoffs this upcoming season. At number 5, I'm going to go with Cleveland's Shane Graham. He actually was ranked in the top 10 last season overall in points according to ESPN. Now, I think he's a good kicker out of Virginia Tech. I remember him when he was playing as a Hokie, and he had a decent career in the National Football League. Now, the reason why I have him at number 5 is because I don't think Cleveland's offense is that great of an offense. It doesn't have a great offense, but good enough to get in field goal range for Shane Graham. Like I said, it's very important to get the points, and it's all about points in fantasy play. So you need to really, when it comes to the kicker position, you really need to look towards going after kickers who are part of teams where offenses are decent enough to get in field goal range and not touchdowns. That's the strategy for the kicker position, and that's why I have Shane Graham at number 5. At number 4, I'm going to go with Justin Tucker out of the defending champion Baltimore Ravens. He had a great season, making it in the top 10 last year. Also at number 3, I'm going to go with Matt Bryant out of the Atlanta Falcons. They have a highly extraordinary offense, explosive offense, great weapons. Definitely will get a lot of touchdowns this season, giving up more one touchdown points for Matt Bryant, but at least it will be available to get into field goal range. At number 2, even though they lost some weapons offensively, I'm still going to go with Steven Gronkowski out of the New England Patriots. Now, offensively, they lost a couple weapons, but Tom Brady will still do enough to drive the ball down the field and get into range. And at number 1, and it's Blair Walsh out of the Minnesota Vikings. This is another team, good offense, particularly running the football, but not too well passing the football, and they're going to depend on more of Blair Walsh to kick some field goals just to help out stay within the game, unless Christian Ponder has a good season throwing the football, scoring more touchdowns, giving Blair Walsh less opportunities to kick long-range field goals and just extra points. But I still have him as my number 1 guy. Now, for the kicker position, I do not have a bust this season, but I do have a sleeper this year, and I'm going to go with Ryan Succop The Kansas City Chiefs. Now, because they acquired Alex Smith from the San Francisco 49ers, I think the Chiefs can do something offensively and get into field goal range to give Ryan Succop some points, and that's why I had to put him as my sleeper this season. Now, that wraps things up with all my top players for each position of fantasy play, and I'm here to give you just a couple of quick tips for your drafts for these upcoming drafts. Now, honestly, I suggest that everybody should go running back with their first 2 picks. The only exceptions are A.J. Green out of the Cincinnati Bengals and Megatron Calvin Johnson out of the Detroit Lions to go with your second pick if they're still available. I think those are the only 2 exceptions with your second pick. But with the first pick, this should definitely automatically go to the running back position because of the lack of depth of this position coming into this year's draft. Now you can make a couple of risks, but I strongly suggest you to go running back, then a quarterback, then your wide receivers. Now, I think only 2 tight ends that you could consider picking before your second receiver, and that's Jimmy Graham from the New Orleans Saints and Rob Gronkowski out of the New England Patriots. Now, with Rob's case, he's a little bit injury prone, so that's a bigger risk, but Jimmy Graham, definitely, if you want to pick him before your second receiver, go right ahead. But as order, you should get your skilled players first. All the tight ends are pretty much even for you guys, so you can get them in the mid rounds for your draft, but go after your skilled players first. Go running back, quarterback, receiver, unless it's Jimmy Graham or Rob Gronkowski, and then go after your other players. And in the later rounds, I say around rounds numbers 10 or 11, actually 9 or 10, go for your defenses, get your defensive points, and just continue to really focus on getting running backs and skilled players. You're still going to get some decent receivers, but at the running back position, you should focus more on getting your running backs into gear. Now, a couple of risk players that you might want to think about getting in the later rounds, if you want to go with the wild card here and go with not going with the running back in the second pick or third pick, is look at the Le'Veon Bell or Isaiah P from the St. Louis Rams and Le'Veon Bell out of the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you want to take a risk with these 2 guys, particularly Le'Veon Bell, who should be carrying the bulk at running back position, go right ahead if you want to take that risk. But I strongly suggest everybody, once again, go with running back, quarterback, receiver, tight end. Get your skill players out of the way, but really focus, try to pay real close attention at the running back position, because that it's very key for your success this season in fantasy play. Really focus on the running backs. Running back, quarterback, receiver, unless you want to go with tight end with your second receiver, Jimmy Graham or Rob Gronkowski. Now, that wraps things up with all my tips for you guys. If you guys have any questions, please feel free, leave a comment at the bottom of the screen, and I will get back to you as soon as possible to give you the best tips best advice I have for you to help you for this league's play. And I'll catch you guys later on in the season. The next time you will see me talk about fantasy play is week 1 of the NFL season, and I'll catch you guys then. Thank you for watching today's vlog. I'm your man, Akeem McCall. Be easy.